Good evening, all. I'm Mike. I wrote this short story a few years ago. I hope you enjoy it. There's no title. Me for chocolate pie. She, the most ravishing woman I ever had the rare fortune to behold. The kind who makes professional models look like oafish, bumbling amateurs. A woman with a smile so stunning and radiant that entire armies of men would fight bloody intercontinental wars just to get a brief glimpse of once more. I was so entranced by her that I almost forgot to reply. She was a goddess, and she was alone. Yeah, I make the best desserts in the city. I lied. Of course, she sensed the flirtation immediately. Flushed with embarrassment and self-conscious insecurity, I cleared her table rather clumsily, picking up dishes and empty creamer containers with nervous fingers. Reaching over to refill her coffee, I stole a glance to gauge her reaction to this outrageous claim. The look she gave me suggested that I should put my words into action post-haste, and so I left her table once again and busied myself with the unlikely task. I had never made so much as a cup of tea. There was one chocolate pie remaining, sitting in a remote corner in the walk-in freezer. There was no telling how long it had been sitting there, but the frigid congregations of ice crystals on the cream topping indicated that the pie had likely way surpassed its expiration date. Nobody likes old freezer-burnt pie, I thought. Still, I quickly removed the cellophane wrapper, threw the pie in the nuke, hit the defrost button, and scurried off to the men's room to relieve my anxious, overwrought bladder. Not 2 minutes had elapsed when I returned to discover that the pie had summarily liquefied. Nothing but brown chocolate goo, graced with a slimy layer of bubbling, non-dairy ooze. This was very unexpected. The restaurant had just recently acquired this new microwave, and now it was acting oddly. It was manufactured by Hansel, a foreign brand I had never heard of. I ran my fingers through my thinning hair, reminding myself for a moment of how far my hairline had receded in the past few years. Now what? I pondered, releasing a protracted sigh of exasperation. Then I noticed for the first time a strange feature on the oven's control panel. A small, easily overlooked red button at the very bottom. It was marked in minuscule letters, "Seduce." Flustered and desperate, I closed the door again, pressed the button, and waited. Soon the interior oven light waxed a curious red, the circular platform beneath now rotating at a slightly faster clip. I watched and waited. The rotating platform picked up speed, and as the timer continued its 2-minute countdown, the oven started to play a peculiar, whimsical melody. It was a tune that sounded eerily familiar but evaded recall. It held me captive for a moment, evoking happy memories of my mercurial childhood. I remembered the carousel at Roseland, the amusement park that had been my favorite place in the world until the local family who owned it was charged with racketeering and other shady activities, and the authorities closed the place down immediately. Snapping out of my momentary reverie, I turned my attention once again to the oven, and my mouth fell agape. The hopelessly ruined pie began to change. The stiff paperboard tray in which the pie was packaged morphed into a resplendent, sparkling crystal pie dish. The chocolate filling transmuted into a silky chiffon mousse that made my mouth water. The cream swirled and slowly condensed into a luscious, frothy meringue that looked too perfect even for the French aristocracy. Soon the entire kitchen was filled with the delectable, heavenly aroma of rich, decadent chocolate and cream. As I gingerly and reverently extracted it from the oven, the resurrected pie heaved and undulated a bit, as if somehow it had become animated, and the aroma became even more invitingly intense. The pie had become so irresistible that I had to struggle vigorously to resist devouring it myself. Overwhelmed with excitement, I fetched a serving cart, I dressed it with our finest linen, proceeded to adorn it with an artful display of fruits and fresh-cut flowers, placing the pie on a crystal serving pedestal in the center, beside a sterling silver serving utensil, our best porcelain dessert plates, and a silver tureen of fresh, hot coffee. I proudly wheeled the magnificent confection in all of its decorative grandeur to the dining room. Strangely, the pie continued to heave and undulate, but did not lose any of its ruthlessly tempting appeal. As I presented dessert to my lovely goddess, I watched her face beam with wonder and delight. Then, desire penetrated her visage in a way that aroused me deeply. I make the best desserts in the city, I breathed solicitously. The goddess gazed at me with passionate anticipation, her desire dramatically amplified, transmitted in powerful waves that made me momentarily forget my purpose. Pulling myself together, I triumphantly picked up the silver pie server, and the pie continued to heave and undulate. Meeting her gaze with ferocious intensity, trembling with erotic anticipation, my imagination transported me to a world of rapturous, blissful fulfillment. Like a cosmonaut claiming a distant, nameless planet for Mother Russia, I was embarking upon an historic moment that would change my life forever. Nothing would be the same. But the pie would not be cut. Bewildered, I pressed a bit harder to break its uncannily resistant surface tension, and again, harder still, and again, and again, and again. Futile. Now insane with rage, a vicious snarl usurping the demeanor of gentility I had just borne moments before, I pressed into the pie with all the physical strength I could conjure, the kind of unnatural, Herculean, adrenaline-induced strength such as that which courses through a man extracting his newly wedded wife from a life-threatening car wreck. This, inspired by thoughts of everything I had desired in life, but had been perpetually denied, summoning an unbridled, satanic fury that was now being mercilessly delivered upon this intractable piece of... The pie detonated. I was instantly blinded. My prescription glasses now plastered with chocolate slime. Upon removing them, I was confronted with a revelation that horrified me to the core of my pathetic little existence. The five-star European bistro I presumed as my place of employment was, in reality, just a dingy, greasy truck stop. In the austere illumination of the joint's cheap fluorescent light fixtures, below the unsightly carnage of the sticky fly strips haphazardly suspended from a yellow mildewed ceiling, my exquisite goddess gave way to a 1.5-ton biker mama. The cigarette hanging from her lips now extinguished by the fulminated pie, obscene rivulets of chocolatey tears streaming down her corpulent face. I threw her a few extra napkins and retreated to the kitchen, thoroughly deflated. As I continued to wipe the warm gunk off my glasses, I noticed for the first time something printed in tiny, barely perceptible letters on the inside frame. Being hyperopic, I held it at a distance to get the text in better focus. It read, "Lenses crafted by Hansel." Thanks.